Hi everyone, I'm Danielle Brathwaite-Shirley. Hearing my bio sucks. I hate hearing my bio. But basically what I do is I build environments that the audience becomes the main medium. And so whatever they do changes the entire environment. And so what you see is determined by what you do or by what someone else does. And I'm starting with this project behind me, which is the Seoul Station at LAS, which was shown at the Berghain. Because it's very poignant to where my kind of practice has gone. So essentially, this was an exhibition which was all about morality. So you went in there and it was a morality test for yourself. And so you tried to determine if you thought of yourself as a moral person or not. And the stadium was kind of designed like Parliament. And so the idea was that you have one leader in the middle and a bunch of people on the outside can vote on the choices that are made. So the leader goes up to someone, starts a vote, and essentially everyone else votes, and what the most popular vote wins. But what actually happened was that everyone started shouting at the leader, which does mirror democracy quite well, but was really interesting. For me, that was one of the kind of best kind of interactions that was there because it was real. Like, people were annoyed at the leader, so they would shout at, "Move down here, what are you doing? Get away, you shouldn't do this." But something that didn't happen was that no one would replace the leader. They would just kind of shout at this poor person in the middle, and then that person would be overwhelmed and at some point run away from the seat. And then everyone would say, "Oh my God, we don't want to fill that void." But that's really started more of my research into making these spaces that aren't just spaces that showcase interesting kind of tech games or that are morality decisions, but actually start moving more towards having physical purpose like a community center. And so my most recent show at the Serpentine, we started with that particular aim, which was how do we build a space where people can have conversations that they usually have online, but offline, in an environment where they can look at the person who they're disagreeing with or agreeing with and try and speak through those nuances, even if they don't agree. And so this all kind of started in 2023 with a project like this. So I wanted to build this game completely open source. And so everyone could have access to everything. And so this is a game built in Blender with a very ridiculous controller setup. And there was a community that had brought back a game engine for Blender. And if you don't know Blender, Blender is like a 3D modeling tool or an animation tool. But it's not usually used to make games in, but there is a way to do that. And so we've kind of started utilizing Blender to do that. And in this environment, we tested out giving over a lot of agency to the audience. So any voice acting that needed to be done was done by the audience. There were moments the game turned off and there was just a question on screen, and there was always a mic set up, and so people could give their opinion on trans people in sports or fascism or where money should be spent. And what was interesting is that that talking part became the most popular part of it. No one really cared about what was on screen in the game, but they really did care about sharing their opinions, and especially if someone jumped on a hot mic and said something they didn't agree with, you started to see a trend of people jumping on to then add their voices to the space, which was really, really interesting. But the problem with having the hot mic is that you got to be brave. And that limited a lot of people from joining in. So we started this new project. And it all started from, can you see it? Yeah, you can. It all started from these drawings. And so all these drawings are made based on headlines on the news or posts that I saw online. They're done very reactively, very quick. But the main idea of this project was to get someone to go into a gallery space, turn to someone that they don't know, and tell them, I'm scared about X, or I don't know who to vote for this election, or something like this, to have actually one of those genuine conversations. And what we realized, we've done a lot of shows that have a lot of tech in it, is that sometimes making the tech front and center eliminates some of this closeness, like stops you from looking at the person next to you, and instead makes you kind of sink into this awe-inspiring machine that could be really amazing, but actually the human connections start dwindling, even if the work is about empathy or something like that. And so we started with these like really grounded kind of drawings, just because some of them are really fucked up as well, by the way. But just because it kind of let us start with somewhere super, super basic, super grounded, very easy to take in, very easy to consume. We found that a lot of these drawings gave people like immediate visceral reactions, or they wanted like basically like a set of references in their body that they could speak back to. So yeah, they're very intense. I love them, but yeah, really intense. And so what we did is that we took these drawings and we started building a game from them. And to do that, we needed another grounding thing. So obviously I've done all these drawings, but it shouldn't all come from me, because if a conversation is all coming from my point of view, it's going to be extremely biased. So what we did is we set up a bunch of different workshops with one workshop was based on different people of different faiths. So we had about 8 people of all different faiths. One workshop was based on different people of different activism. So a bunch of people like who have been arrested for protesting for CO2 emissions, or were like pro-Palestine action or something like this, or who were pro-trans activists, or things like this. So there are like lots of activists doing different things to get like a very varied amount of opinions. I keep flicking forward, but it's actually not ready for that. What we did is we took everything that they said and started to try and craft this world so that it would be able to hold all of those conversations. And this was really, really difficult. And at the time, I'd also made, I'm going to go back here, a game called Cancel Yourself, in which you can go through and choose how you want to be cancelled, which why don't we do right now? Okay, let's do this right now. What do you want to be cancelled for? The first person to shout out something gets it picked. You can be cancelled for, you used to be racist, you have been racist recently, you use racism for your advantage, or you blame racism on your failures. You used to be homophobic, you have been homophobic recently, you use homophobic to your advantage, or you blame homophobic on your failures. Transphobia, you get the idea. White supremacy, you get the idea. Conservatism, rich. Death, I have killed someone, I have killed part of myself. Trans stuff. So any of these, anyone gonna shout anyone out? Damn. So I have killed someone has been shut out. What did you do? We can type in silence. I was honest, maybe. Oh no, let's go back. I have killed someone and silence. Right, and then so this game would kind of go through what it feels like to be cancelled. So it posts it all on your Instagram groups and on the Facebook. And then you get to read the messages people send you, and they send you horrible shit. And what's interesting is that when I do shows, I get a lot of these messages. So I did this performance, and someone had written a whole article about how much they hated, not the show, but my existence generally, just for being trans, which instead of being like upsetting me, I found it one of the best reviews ever, because it was fascinating seeing someone be so passionate about my existence or about not liking me. And often when you read a negative review, there's so much passion imbued there, and you know that if that person was in the room with you, you wonder if that passion would be there, or if they would be able to, you'd be able to get to a better conversation. And so later on in the year, I made another game. Let's say the average age is 33. I'm being probably accurate. Here, go away, no sound, please. Where I'm just going to rush through this, but this game essentially asks you your personal opinion, and as you go through it, it starts crafting an email to a random person asking you more personal information. So ask for your full name, your address, where you work, what country you live in, your full email address. Then it crafts an entire email and asks if you want to record this. You have to send this random email to people. And by watching a lot of people play this, no one wanted to send this email. They were all very happy to say their opinion at the beginning, but when it started getting very personal and it would be attached to them, it wasn't fun anymore. And we wanted to build something that kind of was like that began in this very, I'm going to go forward here, very very fun, interesting space, and then went to somewhere quite dark and maybe scary, but allowed you to be honest. And so we built this exhibition called The Delusion at the Serpentine. And this is slowly slipping down. Come up here. There we go. And each controller here is designed like an actual piece of furniture. So these lamps are the controller. This table is a controller, and so you tilt the table to move. And over here, this door is a controller. So you open the door to let someone in or to not. And we found out that a lot of people, because of using these super accessible controllers, the themes began to get the focus. And so people opening and closing a door, they would naturally start like asking people if they should let someone in around them, and people using the table as they were already sat in a round table discussion would start talking to each other. But this took a lot of testing, which I'm going to quickly show you a small video about.
Way for us to see how people would interact with the games for the first time.
We're trying to make all the games multiplayer, so people have to play them together. They get confronted with the same question, so there has to be some form of teamwork. Games that can't be completed without communication. We tested this very square, terrible, shaky table, and we found out that everyone loved the controller. They loved it, and they would have conversations just around the table because it felt like they should do that. They just kind of naturally did it. So we knew we had some gold here.
One of the most important things for Danielle is really to see how people communicate through the games.
I saw that people who had never played the game before, not only did they have fun, but when they lost or when they won, they turned to the person next to them. That's a crucial aspect that we're wanting people to do, is turn away from these screens and turn away from these games so that they can actually engage with the human next to them. Shut up. And so something has been a massive focus of mine is like obviously games and art are kind of intertwining quite a lot right now. But what I feel that we're losing just generally is the ability to connect with each other, or even just the interest of connecting with someone that you don't know. And so the reason we really embarked on this is because I grew up in a community center, and I want people to, community centers have been something in the UK at least, kind of stripped from society. So it's not as common that you can go to a community center and be fed and make friends and just find a place that's for you and understand kind of like what different people are like. And something that a community center does is that you may not like someone, but you notice their absence, or you notice if they're not doing well because you're constantly in community with them. And that's something that we wanted the gallery to do, is to be this space where you don't agree with people, you don't like what they're saying, but you're in the same space to have that conversation, and you know that there are a set of rules you can abide by that allow you to have this kind of conversation. And in order to get there, we had to actually give rules. And so there are like a set amount of rules, so there's very like join others, experience this together, talk, share, listen, question out loud, respect the boundaries of others. Very, very simple rules. And then at the end, it was like introduce yourself to a stranger when you want to start. And surprisingly, which was very surprising, this did work. And people did speak to each other quite a lot and have difficult conversations. There was a lot of conversations about feminism, about like wokeism and trans rights, about immigration was a massive one, because this door, which is somewhere around here, is called the border. And people come to the door and they usually say an opinion that you either really don't agree with. For example, there's someone that says, we should bring back segregation. So everyone usually closes the door on them, and then they say, well, that's one way to segregate. So it's very tongue-in-cheek, a lot of satire in there. But a lot of people started thinking about immigration and border policy here. And so there were a lot of conversations about immigration as a whole. Within this one, there was a lot of conversations around censorship. just because the game was very much set up about that, and it's about shooting things that you want to admit or that you're too scared to admit, and then they would ask you to expand on this, and the whole kind of exhibition goes on this kind of day and night cycle of that. And so yeah, like it's something that I'm really interested in exploring more, and I don't think I've seen that much of in terms of trying to get people to not only speak to each other but stay in a space and build a kind of bond with someone new. I don't know how much time I have left. Oh, I have like four minutes left. I'm doing great. And so yeah, like that's kind of everything I've run through very quickly. But yeah, I guess like that's kind of essentially what I do and what I'm interested in, and what I'm interested in expanding on. And I mean, that's a super short, super snappy talk, but that's kind of all I've got for. So yeah.